Lando, first of all, thanks very much for coming on the show. We appreciate you jumping on and giving us some time.
Absolutely, my pleasure to be here.
Kieran here's made some introductions, so I'm kind of curious about the first time you and Kieran met. Where was that and when was that?
Oh man, when was that? When was the first time you came to the States?
I think it was either 4 or 5 years ago now. I think you had just fought Tony, or maybe around that time.
Right around yeah.
You were actually one of my first grappling rounds. And Jackson's, and Nick's get like videos of it, and you're definitely out of camp because you're thick, and I'm like stuck under your side control, and I'm just thinking, "I help me face."
I caught about half
that. So about 4 years ago, I think Nick was in camp for that kid he fought on LFA. So whenever that was,
Yeah, so that was about like 4 years ago. That's 2016.
Yeah.
And have you been back and forward then a few times, Kieran? How many times has it been now?
I think we can only go for 3 months at a time because of the visa. So I think it works out we've spent like roughly a year there, like give or take. The first time we went was only for a month, but you barely get your feet like on the ground when you only do a month. So I think it works out about a year we've been there. But I've not been over for like probably about 2 years, pretty much, since I've been up at higher level full time. Just I've not been back over since then, really. And obviously since then, Lando's went to the new gym and stuff, so a lot's changed since then as well.
Yeah, and that must be a shock for you as well, Kieran, going for, well, we know what the weather's like here in Scotland, and you've definitely got a Scottish complexion, going for that to New Mexico. I mean, that's a culture shock in itself, no?
Aye, it's you spend that much time training, you don't leave the gym anyway. So I come back with no tan, and they can understand how. But there was one day we walked to the shop and I bought like 2 gallon litres or 2 gallons of water. And by the time I got home, I drank them all because I thought I was going to pass out. So, it's fucking hot, man.
That's it. And Lando, just maybe for any of the viewers of the show that don't know you, I'd love to just take you back a bit to your very, very early days. I know you started grappling around about 13, is that right?
Yeah, when I was 13, yeah.
13. But when did you first get introduced to mixed martial arts in terms of maybe not competing or anything like that?
When I first got introduced to it, I was like 10 years old. Like watching, I actually just put it up on my Instagram the other day on my stories. There's a Josh Barnett knockout over Pedro Hizzo. Hit him with his like 1-2, step off, right hand, right down the pipe on the temple. Ooh, it was like the most beautiful knockout to this day that I've ever seen. It's one of my favorite knockouts ever. I was like 10 years old at the time. I think it was UFC 30. And like ever since then, just been hooked. Absolutely hooked.
And then obviously jumping into, was it wrestling and jiu-jitsu you started, or was it just wrestling?
So I got into an MMA gym that a buddy trained at and trained there for like a year and a half. And then I started wrestling, dropped jiu-jitsu, dropped any striking I was doing, and just focused on wrestling in high school, a little bit of college. And then just did that for like 3-4 years, dropped out of college and moved out here and started training.
Yeah, so what was it that got you to move to Albuquerque? What was it? Was it just Jackson Links in particular that you wanted to get out there, or Jackson's rather?
It was just that. It was just that. I came out here the first time when I was 16. So my family lives in Florida on the other side of the country. And when I was 16, I was looking for a wrestling camp, and my brother was just like, yo, you should just go out to Jackson's. And that was at like the height of Jackson's when it was George St. Pierre, Rashad, David Louisel, Keith, like everybody. It was like the #1 gym in the world. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll give it a shot, see if I can. I ended up coming out here for a month when I was 16, living upstairs in the dorms like Kieran did. And I just knew I'd come back eventually.
And presumably when you go out there at that age, at 16, you're obviously a fan of the sport at that time, and you see just some of the names you've mentioned there. When you see them round about the gym, is that quite inspiring? Is it?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I was definitely I never been one to be like starstruck, but getting to spar with like Cowboy, getting like just kneed in the face by Cowboy when you're 16, it's like.
Yeah, is Cowboy still in Doms?
It shows you like what the levels are. It shows you like what you can do if you come out here. So that was really cool.
Yeah. That's a badge of honour, right? Getting kneed in the face with Cowboy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Kieran, you were saying something.
I was saying, was Cowboy still in the dorms when you went out, Lando?
Nah, he was already out of the dorms by then.
Was he?
Yeah. It was just like 4 random dudes up there at the time.
What's that experience like in the dorms there? Obviously, you've got the experience at Kieran and Lando yourself.
It's no fun. It's like prison.
You had the new dorms, though. You had the fancy dorms.
Man, I was in a room with 4 guys and 2 of them were injured and didn't leave the room and just sat in the room, and it's like bunk beds. I didn't enjoy it at all, man. At first it was with Reese McEwen. He only went for 2 weeks. So then he left and there was like these 3 random guys. Oh, you fought one of them. Matt Frivola was there. He was my dorm mate.
I always forget Frivola was there.
He broke his hand on Tyler's head the first day.
Yeah.
And then just spent a month in bed.
Yeah, and then he left.
Oh, it was a nightmare. He spent the month in bed above me eating
He kept mad dogging you?
No, he's just sleeping all day. It's fucking weird, man.
There's definitely some characters in combat sports, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's definitely some characters in dorms, that's for sure.
Yeah. You get a different side of humanity in the dorms, man.
And Kieran had mentioned, well, actually, just before I get to that, obviously a lot of people were aware that you made your debut in the UFC. It was a short notice fight against Tony Ferguson. I just want to get
the number 3 guy in the division.
Yeah, that's crazy itself, and it was a great fight. But just from your point of view, when you get that call and told, right, look, we've got a fight for you in the UFC, but it's Tony Ferguson. What's the thought process like?
Oh, I was stoked. I was just so stoked. I was like, yeah, this is it. I mean, before I even got the fight, though, it was like a few days process to try to get the fight because Cowboy was actually about to take that fight. Cowboy was about to, but I also had the opportunity. And it wasn't until Greg Jackson was like, hey, Cowboy, don't take this fight. Let Landon, get a shot. And so that's when I hopped in. And I was just like, yo, we're going to go shock the world. Like, I totally believed in my skill set and everything that I do. And I had no problem with it. And a fight like that, obviously, you almost give me, I'm sure you put pressure on yourself, but you give me an element of no pressure because there's maybe no expectation. People just expect Tony to turn up and win that fight that maybe are not familiar with you. Does that help you at all going into a fight like that? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like there's no pressure really, so nothing to lose. Everything to gain, nothing to lose. Like everybody's expecting me to go out there and just get slaughtered, Yeah, and
it's obviously that wasn't the case. James, I'll get you to jump it.
And even if I did get slaughtered, it was still in a sense a win. Like say I went out there and I got knocked out in 10 seconds, it's like I'm still in the UFC now.
Yeah,
I still made it to the big show.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen like in the UK and Ireland, we've seen fighters recently who've signed with the UFC and went in. Reece McKee went in against Chimaev, and it didn't go well, and ultimately it's ended up with him not being in the UFC now. So it can go the other way, of course. James, I'd like to bring you on in this bit. Obviously, speak a wee bit about that fight against Tony Ferguson. Get your thoughts on it.
I remember it vividly. It was like a win-win because you've seen the fight. Most people are maybe seeing you for the first time, but everybody who's seen the fight would have been excited about watching you fight again, just because of the performance and stuff. And it was just good. Like, the only thing that could have went better, obviously, would be getting the win, but it looked like somebody you want to watch fighting, like nice creative striking, and Tony was on the rise at the time, and was causing everybody problems, and I don't even know if he'd maybe lost a round before that or whatever, but it was like a fantastic debut, I think. And what you were saying about getting in, we had a similar situation with two of our fighters when they signed it. Like Stevie Ray obviously was signed with 2 weeks' notice for Poland and was massively out of shape and out of weight, coming for Cage Warriors. And you have to take the contract when they call and ask you to fight. You have to go. And the same way, Danny Henry, when he fought in Glasgow, he actually he was standing on a door as a bouncer with he had like a plastic protection hanging on his foot. He had a broken foot, and had just had the cast took off. So got the call about the fight, and then was in the gym the next day trying to move about with a partially healed leg. So with both of the guys, I remember saying to them, right, we'll do the best we can with the first fight. You've got a 4-fight contract. The second fight will be the one we got a full camp for and whatever else. And fortunately, both of them went on to do pretty well. But it is that thing with the UFC come and ask you. You don't know if they're going to ask you again. So you kind of have to take it. Yeah,
you never know if like that's your opportunity, and that opportunity might not pop up again, especially if you say no. They don't like that. So it's like if they ask, like you got to say yes. It doesn't matter if you're 40 pounds overweight right now. You got to show up and try.
Yeah, and like you say as well, it gets that foot in the door in the promotion as well, and gives you the opportunity that you've been working for.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Kieran had said earlier, are you now training down at, is it Jackson's Acoma you're training at now?
Yeah, it's Acoma, yeah. So we had a splitting with the gym, with people over at the gym, myself, my coach, Nick Urso, Cowboy, a few other people. We all just kind of parted ways with the coaching staff over there. We didn't like how everything was operating anymore. So a couple of my buddies went and opened up this gym that's the former professional gym. It's the original gym. Same building, new ownership, new team. It's been pretty awesome so far. I think we're 3 years on now, almost 3 years on.
Yeah, and is it better for you as a fighter, though, if you're in the gym and there is any tensions or just it doesn't feel comfortable? Does it feel a lot better if you're moving into a situation you're comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, super comfortable now. Like, I love it. Like, it's just a family again. It's like the good vibes, good training opportunity, good, like, everything's just fun. Back at JW, but around the time that I left, it was stressful to the point where I didn't want to walk into the door because I was stressed out just about seeing certain people that were going to be there, the passive aggressive tensions that were amongst certain people there. It just was so, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
Yeah, there's obviously been a lot of stuff documented over the years about it, and presumably that sort of environment is just as negative for you as a person, and obviously isn't good for your development as a fighter.
Yeah, and then even on top of that, I feel like a lot of the skill sets over there kind of has fizzled out over time, as you see with a lot of their fighters that they're putting out now. Obviously aside of John Jones, who's John Jones.
Yeah. I mean, he's an outlier, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. That guy
even
the rest of his life, and he'd probably never lose a fight.
Even when I was over like 3 or 4 years ago, we were already doing the grappling sessions with just us guys up at the Acoma before it opened. So there was already that kind of divide happening to some extent. But the sessions were great. Like, it was just a matter of like 4 or 5 like good grapplers as opposed to like a swarm of people that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, you haven't had to deal with it yet, but like being in the UFC, when there's all these people that are just coming in randomly to train, you just got a target on your back all the time. So you just got these random dudes. You don't know how good they are, if they're good, if they're clean with their technique, or if they're spazzy and they're going to actively hurt you. And all the while they're trying to take your head off. They want to take your head off. They want to prove something in the gym because you're who you are.
Because they're in the gym, yeah. I always say that when people ask me about going to the bigger camps, and I'm like, I think until like maybe the second or third time I went, when guys started trusting me to train with them, because like if you go for like a month, the people that you're there to train with aren't going to train with you anyway, because they don't trust you enough. Like, you're basically just a visitor for a month.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, it's like I would never. I learned my lesson a long time ago, not to train with the new guy in the gym unless I had known them previously.
Yeah.
Like, just because I'm going to watch them for a few rounds or a couple of days first before I spar with them. Wrestling, grappling, whatever. But sparring wise, like, I'm going to watch you first. I'm going to make sure that you are controlled. If you throw a head kick and the guy messes up his block, you're going to be able to pull it. You know, you're not trying to take everybody out, throwing super hard shots left and right, ripping leg kicks as hard as you possibly can. Just like, I'm going to make sure that you have some symbol of civility in your style.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the downsides you see sometimes with gyms when they get massive, is they can almost be a victim of their own success. And it must be, I'd love to get you to jump in as well, James, obviously being a gym owner. Is that ever a concern that the gym gets so big with stars in the gym that sort of thing can happen?
I think there's almost like a tipping point, I think, where the gym can get so successful and you let too many people in, it destroys what made it special in the first place. So, like, it is a team thing, and the team has to be close knit, and there has to be a level of accountability there for your teammates and stuff. But when you start letting people in for everywhere and anywhere who they're not really given to the team, they're coming to the team to take. They're coming there to jump in and get stuff from you, but it does become a problem, I think, and you see it with some of these other teams. Maybe the guys that run the gym get too business minded, and it becomes a problem. But the thing that got these kind of super teams to the places that they're at now was an original core team of guys. If you look at any team, it's been the same thing, and it's guys that have been there for a long time, and it's like a good group of guys just working, and everybody's there just to get better at martial arts and push each other. But when you start letting people in for here, there and everywhere, and they're only here for 2 weeks at a time or a month at a time, then it becomes a wee bit different. It's almost like you become mercenaries a little bit. So we obviously have a lot of international guys coming to higher level before the lockdown, mostly for Europe and stuff like that, and with a couple other fighters who were due to move just before the lockdown, but nowhere near the extent of some of these more well-established gyms like Jackson's and stuff like that. But I can see what's happening at these gyms, and I'm really careful to make sure I control what happens at my gym. And the good thing we've got in place here is I'm in control of just about everything. I'm like the boss, so the other coaches are all accountable to me. There's the guys who I let coach here, they're good guys, you know what I mean? They're not out for themselves, they're here for the team and stuff like that. Whereas if you look at some of these super gyms, it's not like that. They're always gyms splitting and reforming and rebranding and stuff like that. So I think you need to keep an eye on the size of it, because you can only be successful with up to a certain number. I'm not quite sure exactly what that number is, but for a spell there, we had about 32 fighters, and maybe more than half of them were pro, and it was just getting too much. It was hard to keep up with. And then we've had a couple of guys, obviously, our higher profile guys retire and bring our younger guys through. But I think you definitely want to keep a number in mind of how much you're working it. And then when you start cross-contaminating the fighter sessions with the public sessions, this is going to cause problems as well. So you need to have that separate, I think.
Yeah. Obviously, Lando, you've obviously were a part of it. You got to see this all firsthand. Was it a gradual thing for you that it just slowly happened at Jackson's?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just, it was like one of those things. It's like you get a little itch, and then the itch becomes like a little sore, you know, and then it just grows and grows and grows until it's like, oh, I got to do something about this. It's just kind of gradual. But I think that was really, really cool what you said about they're not there to give to the team, they're there to take from what you've built already. I thought that was like pretty, hit the nail on the head with that one, man. Absolutely hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, it's something you see with fighters coming into gyms as well. You can see sometimes it's well documented. Obviously, it has been in the UFC. But just back to you, Lando, in terms of where you're at now and where you are going forward. So, for you, in terms of fights, is there anything in the pipeline for you, or anything you're looking at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, right now, nothing. Nothing yet, but probably April, May is probably the timeline, and then dropping weight classes. So I'm going from lightweight down to featherweight now.
Yeah, and
It's gonna.
In terms of,
I'm pretty freaking excited about it, man.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In terms of just looking at your lightweight, what was it like for you to make that lightweight weight limit? Was that something that was not really an issue for you?
So actually, it's like I knew I can make it pretty easy. Mm-hmm. So it gave me too much freedom to be off my nutrition, slack off in the off camp, in the off season. So I would get up to 180 easy. And then I'd take a fight on 8 weeks notice. Like I have 8 weeks to get ready for a fight. I take that fight. I drop my weight. I'd probably get down to $170 by fight time, and then do the weight. And it wasn't like a terrible weight cut or anything, but it was always kind of hard. It's pretty average weight cut, but kind of hard. But I made it harder on myself. Like right now, I'm walking around. Now I'm going to 45. I'm walking around at 166 right now. So I feel great. I still got enough fat to lose. Like I feel super healthy. I'm eating a ton. The weight cut I made it harder on myself than it needed to be. And I was being lazy, and then because I didn't have to be as accountable. And then I was doing these big weight cuts, and then I was fighting bigger guys. Yeah. So it almost dials you in then year round. There's no really, you've got to be focused all the time and make sure your weight's constantly on point then. Yeah. It's like, so when I first started contemplating the idea, it was like the idea of burning the boats, like that Spanish conquistador did. He showed up to the New World and he told his men, burn the boats. He's like, there's no going back now. So it's like, I said, I'm going to do it. Burn the boats. We're all in. It's like, there's no room to be anything but fully committed at this point. It's like forcing my hand. Yeah. And at lightweight as well, there's some big boys kicking around at lightweight. Big boys? Yeah. There's some big lads at lightweight. Some of them I thought that were, not too big. Like Frivola was a little bit bigger than me, but not a lot. Like I felt like that was pretty fair. Bobby, I feel like, is a pretty on the smaller side of lightweight, so it wasn't too much of an issue there. But when I fought guys like Drakkar Klose, that dude was... Casey's quite a big lightweight. Casey is massive. That's what I was getting to. That dude is massive. I felt that was the first time ever in a fight of mine where I've been fighting or training, held down and really having a hard time getting any offensive going off my back, being able to get back to my feet. That dude was big and he was strong. Jacked. Yeah, massive. That's kind of the reason. He's one of the reasons why I started being like, all right, I think I need to make this drop. I need to, instead of being the small lightweight, be the slightly bigger featherweight. Have you fought at feather before, Lando? Nah, I was supposed to twice. Right. 2 times I was supposed to. I made 47 the first time before my opponent had to go to the hospital with kidney failure because he had a botched weight cut. So I didn't get to make it that time. And then the next time I took the LFA title fight against Heoni Barcelos at 145. He's in the UFC now. He's killing it. He's doing really great. I showed up there on Friday for weigh-ins. The day of weigh-ins, I was 161 pounds. 161 pounds. I cut down to 146. I was a pound over. He wouldn't take the fight. We're like, I'm not cutting anymore. I've just cut so much weight. I can't. I literally just sat in the sauna for half an hour, didn't drop an ounce of sweat. I'm like, I will give you my entire purse. I will make 100. I'll make whatever weight you want me to make tomorrow on fight day. And he wouldn't take the fight. So didn't ever get to. So there must be that you're saying you're excited there. Is it that excitement looking around a new division and thinking, right, you've got all these new names and potential opponents, and does that get that extra spring in your step going to training? Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like the divisions, it's kind of, aside from the top 3 guys, the division's kind of wide open. There's a lot of room to just maneuver in there, and I feel like there's a lot of great matchups all the way up and down from all the way up in that top 15 and outside of the top 15. I feel like there's a lot of great matchups for me. And I feel like I'm going to be able to explore my, I haven't really gotten to show it, but I have some very high level wrestling and grappling skills that I haven't gotten to show in the UFC yet. And it's going to be a lot easier to put those on display at featherweight. Yeah, it's almost as well when you watch your fights, you do forget that you did start in grappling because of just your striking, the way you move and stuff like that. You get that a lot? People don't realise that you started in grappling. Yeah, I mean, I've just been I started in grappling. Like right now I work with multiple times a week. I work with a 2-time All-American wrestler. We wrestle live for like an hour. And my grappling coach, Harry St. Ledger, black belt under Renzo Gracie, judo team member, just amazing guy, amazing skill sets on both of those guys. And those are the guys I work with like on a daily basis, constantly just getting better and better there. But just like the mindset of it in the past, I kind of have been in the counter wrestling striking mindset. Like, I fell in love with my striking. I used some takedowns here and there just to disrupt the timing, but I never really got like comfortable in the UFC using my ground game. Like I never made it a point. As where prior to the UFC, I had a few submission wins. I would use a lot of grappling. I would use a lot of wrestling, and I kind of got away from it the more I fell in love with the striking.
Yeah, so it's back to just mixing everything in, then just being more rounded with everything.
Yeah, just being a mixed martial artist, man.
Yeah,
mixed martial artist, like to the sense of the word.
And Kieran, I'm going to bring Kieran in for a minute. We'll put you on the spot a wee bit. I want you to play matchmaker here. So think of the 140.
I'm terrible with the
Oh, come on, man! You can do it. 145. Run your brain through the division. Who would you like to see Lando fight?
Put it on James, mate, because I'm lost here.
James, what you got?
There's some really good fights there, man. Korean Zombie, I think.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Introduction to the division. I think you style-wise, that'd be great to watch. Striking-wise, then you could obviously mix everything else up and it'd put you right up near the top end of the division straight out the gate, man. But there's some brilliant fighters at that weight class, I think. Really exciting fighters. But I think off the top of my head, I think that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you set the bar super high with how you debuted in the UFC Lightweight division, so hopefully we'll get similar. Is there any guys you've been looking at in the featherweight division and thought I'd quite like that fight?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys I'd like as fights in there, man. What's the guy that's the Georgian dude, great kickboxer?
Okay, Cataladze or something.
Yeah, man. You want to know, man? Hold up, I got some names written down on my phone of people I want to fight.
Oh, this is what we like. A hit list, as you will.
Man. Giga Chikaze. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Good fight.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that guy's style. I like fighting fighting guys who are really good too. Like he doesn't get my rocks off fighting guys who I don't find to be very skilled.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the better guys will bring the best out in you? Like you fight better against the better guys?
In the past, I used to be like that. I would fight up to my competition or down to my competition. And that was something me and my sports psychologist have worked a lot on. And something that like in training, I've worked a lot on. Like I try to treat everyone equally now. I try not to like allow my opponent to determine my skill set, my ability. But with that being said, I get more fired up about fighting guys who I think are good, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. Presumably as well, obviously right now we've got fights going on. It's the Apex and the Fight Island. If you get a European guy, it probably means it's going to be a Fight Island fight.
Maybe. I think they're going back to Singapore too.
All right.
That's good. Korean Super Bowl.
There you go. Is he on the list, or who else is on the list?
He might have to go on it,
Wait. If you had a preference now, because we see a lot of fighters speaking about it, obviously maybe potentially Singapore, but would you quite fancy Fight Island? Would you like that, James? You can speak about Fight Island. You've been out there. Would you fancy travelling out there?
I hated it.
Were you with Stevie?
I was with Danny, Stevie, and Mark, but I get bored with it. The quarantine bits killed me. I had to quarantine in London, then Abu Dhabi. I was in the room for a couple of days on my own, and then it was like the same menu for the whole time you're there. There's nothing to do. You could walk down to the workout room. I can't play golf. I think I went to the golf course once, got bored with that, and then it was just boring. I think if you're allowed to go into Abu Dhabi and stuff like that, but you're stuck in this wee bubble. So it wasn't the best, and you're just training in a couple mats in a hotel room for the pastime during the day. But Singapore was beautiful. I was there with Stevie fought Michael Johnson there. That's maybe one of the coolest places I've ever been. So if you get a chance, definitely go there. I think ONE FC are back putting on fights there soon as well. So I think that will be open. But Singapore was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, can you hear the in Fight Island? Can you hear the race cars going through the hotel?
Yeah, can't sleep because it.
That sounds miserable. I'd be so pissed off, man.
Yeah, you can't sleep because they're just drunk businessmen driving on a track like fucking 1 o'clock in the morning.
See,
that was annoying.
This is where you went wrong, James. You should have copied Conor McGregor. You should have hired a yacht. What's the problem? Just rocked up. Well, right enough. Maybe if it's a boat for Scotland, it would be a rubber dinghy. But Lando, have you got some spots? Is there any a bucket list of places you would love to fight?
I don't even think so. No, because I feel like I fought in like the two places I wanted to fight: Madison Square Garden and Japan. So I fought in Tokyo, yeah, did for Rocky Arena back in 2000. I want to say 2014, 2013, 2014.
I fought there.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Did you fight? What organization did you fight in?
Cage Force. It was a smaller arena, so I think there was
it's real small, 2,000
people or something at it. But Japan was excellent as well, man.
It's amazing. It's such a fun place to walk around out there, and then just the environment when you fight, like everyone's so quiet. Yeah, we get the guy that was with me, Paul, actually got rushed through customs and stuff like that because he had cauliflower ears. So at customs, but they were like, you come like respectful to fighters over there. Some of the stuff, even on the trains and stuff like that, people were kind of, because you had the ears, kind of bowing at you and stuff. I got stuck in customs over there for like 2 hours because I didn't realize I had to get a visa.
How does that work? At what point does it dawn on you that maybe I should have got a visa? Fuck.
Man, I had a manager running the whole thing too, and I somehow would just slip through the cracks. Luckily, Pancrase, the organization I fought for, they had some pull and took care of it all, and everything was fine. But man, my coach had already. It was me and Brandon Gibson, so he had already walked through customs. I was behind him, and he's already down by the bag claim, waiting for me. And they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, you have to go to this room over here." And I'm just sitting in this room for like 2 hours, and he has no idea where I'm at.
That's nuts. And that was like that fight, the Pancrase fight, was pretty early on in your professional career, wasn't it? Was it like a fourth fight?
Yeah, fourth fight. Yeah.
Is that quite trippy?
Did you have to wear the shin guards, mate?
Huh?
Did you have to wear the shin guards in the pants?
No, I wish. Boots. Oh, fancy boots on.
Yeah. And what was it like fighting in that crowd? Obviously, out in Tokyo, how was that? Because it is, like I say, your fourth professional fight. You're out there fighting in Pancrase, obviously, fairly famous organisation. How was that experience for you?
I had a weird experience because
all right.
They had tried to they kind of tried to do me a little dirty when I was out there. So I warmed up, and then I'm getting warmed up, got my hands wrapped, ready to go. And they're like, "All right, you're on deck." I'm like, "All right, cool. All right, one more fight than me." Go down to the area backstage. There's a couple other fighters out there. Next thing I know, 4-5 fights go by, and it's still not my turn. So I'm completely cooled back down at this point. All my nerves are gone. I'm just completely relaxed. I'm like, fuck, this sucks. But at that point, I walked out just like I'd walk out of my own house, just relaxed and chilled. So it was a very weird experience. And then the arena is extremely quiet. Everyone's very respectful. So for me, it was a different experience. It would be cool to fight there again in the same environment, but have it feel proper, you know?
Yeah. Have you thought much about, obviously, you've had that experience, but potentially fighting in an arena with no fans at all, hearing comment, we've seen it, like hearing the commentators, you've thought about what that experience would be like as a potential possibility?
So you're saying, like, are you asking if like that one kind of made me more comfortable with that?
Yeah. If it would have any bearing on the way things are at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely did that. I mean, I fought in Japan, but I've also fought in like I don't know what they call them in Scotland. I don't know if they're called the same thing, but rec centers. Like they're just small little gymnasiums with like a few benches around them. So I mean, I fought in arenas like that where there's literally the crowd is 50 people.
Yeah.
I mean, I fought in some smaller shows.
That's every show here, Lando.
Yeah.
Every show, yeah. So you guys get it.
Yeah.
You guys get it, man. I feel like it's the same thing. It almost feels the same. Yeah,
it's basically pubs here, really, isn't it? It's sometimes with the smaller shows here, you sometimes see the best fights after the show's finished. And you might even get lucky and one of the fighters who's winning the show, I'll get his second knockout of the night outside. That's fairly common.
I miss those.
I'll take you to Liverpool the next time we're down there, Lando. I'll give you an experience.
Say that again?
I'll take you down to Liverpool the next time we're fighting and I'll give you an experience.
Let's go.
I know. What's the show? What's the show I'm thinking up here we had? Remember the one we had the riots in Edinburgh?
Oh, that was on Forza.
Aye, that's the one. That's an experience. That's we had with a show here where where the I think the halftime raffle was a yellow card that nobody wanted. Fun times. So at the moment for you then, Lando, is it really just a case of waiting for that call and getting it until you get back in there? Yeah, just hurry up and wait, Yeah. I mean, I do my same thing anyway, so I'm just training. I train year round. I train 2 to 4 times a day, year round. Take breaks, a few day breaks here and there, but I mean, I just constantly stay grinding. So they'll call me when they call me.
What are you doing for your sparring, Lando? Are you going up to the ranch or?
No, we sparred actually. Yeah. Remember Jesse Morehouse? Yeah, he's gotten really good, man. Yeah, he's gotten real good. He's my main sparring partner nowadays.
Is Dodson down there as well?
He comes in once in a blue moon, but he don't really come around that much. But Ray's there, Borg.
Yeah.
He's a handful, man.
He's probably about the same weight just now.
But you two about the same weight. Yeah. He's a big boy, bro. I told him, like, when I take him down, like, you got no excuse this time, bro. You got no excuse.
That's awesome. Right, well, what we'll do is we won't keep you for too much longer. If you could humour us for a few moments, Lando, we like to do some quick fire questions. James normally takes over at this point, and he'll just fire some questions at you, and then obviously, Kieran, if you've got anything else to jump in with, please feel free. But James, I'll let you take over at this point.
Cool. Okay, so these are pretty generic, and you'll probably be fed up answering them. But who is the best guy you've fought to date?
Ooh. Probably the best guy is probably Tony, but probably my hardest fight's been Dikesi. Yeah, or Bobby. It's a handful.
We've already kind of covered two. Who would you like to fight next if you could pick anybody?
I mean, if we're going to Singapore, I'd fight Doo Ho Choi. That'd be fun.
Pretty cool. And then obviously we've been in the gym that you're in and the gyms you've been in. Who's the best guy you've sparred with? You've obviously sparred with the best fighters of different weight classes in the world. Is there anybody who sticks it in your mind as the best guy, like maybe technically or just hard spars?
Cowboy 5 years ago. Best guy I've ever sparred.
Next one was going to be, who do you think will win out Cowboy and Diego?
Cowboy. I mean, imagine he loses him, man. Cowboy easily. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that Cowboy's just gonna whoop Diego's ass.
100%.
Yeah,
I think that as well. Right, last one for me then. What's been your best night in the sport so far?
It's easy, man. John McDessie.
Do you want to know a story about McDessie, actually?
Is it a good story or a bad story?
It's quite a funny story, actually.
There are quite funny stories about him out here.
A couple of our guys had sparred with him when he was at TriStar. A young kid called Jason Woods, who had just turned pro, actually went to TriStar with Stevie Ray. He'd had about 8 or 9 amateur fights and had one pro fight, and went over, and McDessie actually broke his ribs about 2 days in with a spinning back kick. And then when you fought McDessie and knocked him out with the spinning hook kick or the spinning wheel kick to the head, this kid Jason's come into the gym the day after, he's dead happy, throwing this kick, and he's like, that'll teach him. But
I'm just glad I can help out, man. I'm glad I can help out.
I've got to ask something just because you mentioned Diego there. Diego's coach. Give me your thoughts. I've watched have you seen the sparring footage with, I think, is it Emil Meek, and it's the fake knife. I mean, give me your thoughts on him and his cornering advice, which is interesting in itself.
Thoughts, but I think my thoughts perfectly align with everybody else's thoughts on the situation. That dude he's a con artist, man. That's like even worse than being a bad coach. Like, I'm sure he has some knowledge on like how to keep bodies healthy and stuff like that. But to me, it seems like he is just a pure con artist, and he takes advantage of people. Yeah, and that's my thoughts on him. And I think he's a total fucking fraud, absolute fraud.
Yeah, I
feel bad as well because Diego always goes into these sort of traps. Like, I feel like he's been part of every fad in MMA. Like, he's always training with a new piece of equipment, or like he's always got some mad shit going on.
Bro, that dude, equipment. Yeah. Every single time you see him, man, every couple of months it was a new piece of equipment. I like Diego.
I've actually got Diego gave me his cup, like, straight off his balls.
That is weird. That's pretty weird.
I ate a cup shot and he's like, "Here, I'm sponsored by Diamond Cup, just take this." So every fight I wear Diego's cup.
Please tell me that you have never washed this cup.
Oh, of course not. I use it as a gas mask.
That's well, actually, just one other thing that Kieran had mentioned to me. Obviously, talking about your movement and stuff like that, you have worked with, long before Conor did, was it Edel Portal?
Yeah, so I didn't work with him before Conor, but I've been following him.
Right.
Like, before Conor was in the UFC, I think circa 2012 is when I started, like, I found this dude Edel Portal online and started like digging into all his videos, digging into his old blog on WordPress, and finding all his old training routines, and just kind of getting into that idea of like being able to move. You know, when I first found it, I couldn't touch my toes. Like, I couldn't do a full like squat, like resting squat. Like, I had terrible mobility, like terrible movement skills. And so that dude, it's like life changing for me. Really opened up.
Obviously, that's something you definitely improved on. That can be seen in any of your fights.
Yeah. But, I did get to go. I got to go work with him after. So directly after I fought John McDessie, we had like booked a trip. He was like, "Hey, when do you want to come to Thailand and we'll spend a week together and we'll train?" And I was like, "I'll just fly up from this fight in 2 weeks. Like, I'll just get the UFC to buy my flight to Thailand after this fight." So I was like, got super, super lucky, man, and had a completely unscathed fight after that night, and just jumped on the next morning, jumped on a flight to Thailand and spent a week out there training with him and some of his students.
It's not too bad, coming off a finish like that and straight out to enjoy some time in Thailand. Must have been a big smile on your face flying out there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it was like wonderful time in my life.
Perfect. Well, we won't. I won't keep you any longer unless any of the lads want to jump in. If you've got anything else,
I'm all good.
Kieran, teach me how to cook.
Get me a green card. I'll come do it, my man.
All right, I got you, bro. Man, gay marriage is allowed here now, man. Just sign the papers. We'll get you over.
Well, listen. Hopefully, the way things are going, you might be able to travel in about 2023. The way things are looking now, so fingers crossed it's a bit sooner than that.
I hope so.
Yes,
But thank you very much for coming on the show, Lando. We appreciate it, mate.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Absolute pleasure being on here with you guys. Super fun. And I only got like a couple instances of not knowing what you guys said. So
oh, that is good. Well, we won't need to subtitle the show. Actually, no, we will need to subtitle the show, but there you go. We appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks, man.